The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And your volume's low, CJ. You don't have your mic on? Again.
I always forget my mic.
Yeah, here we are.
Now you can all hear me. What do you know?
All right, and it's Monday.
New message is received from Patrick Higgins.
Oh, my goodness.
I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving, ate plenty of turkey, and got a little bit of rest, so.
Well, as you know, our people are all out there being wonderful for us, giving us information. So before we get into some of the story, as everyone knows, the Weekend Flush comes out every Sunday at 6 p.m. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe today. You can go to our Facebook page at Spindle City Straight Talk Online, or you can go to South Coast Media and click on the Weekend Flush, and you can click on the link to subscribe. But I spoke about how somebody was coming from the water department to run DCM over the weekend. And it is now alleged because the mayor hasn't confirmed this, that a gentleman by the name of Jeff Little is going to be taking over DCM. And he is in the water department.
Yeah. And
that name is not new to Fall River.
No.
That name is not new to Fall River. That name has been in several departments throughout the city and has been very active in the city for some time.
And a very active political
lackey.
Political activist.
Yeah.
For his designated candidate, which shows again there is a reward for that.
Yes, there is.
And back in Valhalla.
And I said that on the Weekend Flush. I said it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's very clear that this is happening more and more throughout this administration. This is the second term. And remember, people, you voted for this government. This is what you get. Yeah. And you may not be happy with what you're getting as time moves on.
Well, when you look at these things, and if you really try to analyze, and they don't, they just talk about the individual, but let's look at the process. I mean, remember when we reviewed Mr. Ponciano's application for employment here? He bounced from one department to another department to another department to another job and another job. You know, and most people, if they get a decent job, they stay with it. And I know that in today's society, the millennials bounce around a little bit more. But if you get a really good job, you know, you don't leave it for something else unless it's much, much better. But when you see people that bounce around within a community, especially with public jobs, with city jobs, it normally means that they're connected. And again, you know, we see somebody coming from the water department over to lead DCM, which now this is what, the 5th department head?
Yeah, I think it's the 5th person.
The 5th department head. Well, at least the 5th applicant for the department. The first guy never even made it to he never even made it to the gate. Once we looked at we exposed that his application was fraudulent to a degree, and he didn't even start the job. And then we got another one, and then we got another one, and another one, and now we have somebody. And actually, the only person with any DCM experience is the individual now who got demoted again.
Right.
So it doesn't seem that most of them leave; they just get demoted. So I don't know how many sub positions we have, but now we've got another person that got demoted, and we got somebody from the water department who wasn't I don't think in any high position, because as far as I know, there's somebody named Fryer there.
Yep. Who
just signed a letter that we all got about making sure you let somebody know if you transfer your property so they can make sure they can bill you. But you got Fryer, and of course you've got our favorite guy that's been around there forever, Mr. Sullivan. So I don't know what kind of qualifications Mr. Little brings to the DCM. because he doesn't seem to have any, you know, I don't know if he ever worked at DCM, if he has any idea what DCM does. But he's moving over from the water department, which I don't see a big correlation between the water department and the Department of Community Maintenance.
No,
And
there's not.
maybe during the first, maybe if during the first snowstorm, if the former director, former assistant director, Mr. Perry, takes a day off like he did one other time, the snow removal will be a total disaster because the guy we got in there doesn't know anything about anybody or anything in the department. So.
But interestingly enough, I mean, we can go back. First, we had Ken Pacheco, who was very good at his job.
Yeah, he was there for a very long time.
Very good. Very good.
Said, you don't normally move out of those jobs.
Exactly. Then we went to, I can't even remember his name because he's gone.
Yeah.
Then we went to Mr. Ponciano.
That's 3.
There's 3. Then we went to John Perry. There's 4. And now Mr. Little's going to be number 5.
Yeah.
If that is indeed who it is. And I believe my sources are pretty accurate. Now, the thing is that when Mr. Ponciano got demoted, shortly after he was demoted, he was terminated. They got rid of him. Is that what they're going to do to John Perry? Are they going to terminate him now? And don't get me wrong, some people don't like John, other people like John. I mean, John and I had words with each other, and you know, but we respected each other, and we grew to respect each other. Is he the right guy for the job? I think he was doing the best he could do with what he had. But to demote him because he's not getting the job done, well, if you don't give him the tools, how do you get the job done?
Well, you know, all this stuff seems, look, it's post-election. It's the post-election resurgence of give everybody I know a job again.
Exactly.
That helped me on the campaign. And I don't think it's really got to do with anything. It may have something to do with our vetting process. Obviously, we don't really look at qualifications. You know, if you try to go apply for a job in private industry, and there's normally a set of pre-existing conditions of employment, you normally have to meet those pre-existing conditions of employment. But it seems that the only condition of employment in Fall River is you got to be on the right side of the ballot.
Exactly.
And then you get the job, regardless of the fact that you have absolutely no qualifications to do the job. Because we've seen a couple of the applications, and look, I spoke to Mr. Ponciano a few times, a nice guy. I truly believe he was trying his best to do the job. But the fact is, you know, if you decide to become a brain surgeon, you didn't bother to go to school to become a doctor and then specialize in neurosurgery, maybe you're not going to do that well with the job. I mean, the problem is when you put somebody into a position, especially a position, and people, you know, everybody thinks, you know, DCM's a really easy job. It's not. There are a lot of facets, a lot of things that they do, not only just dealing with you know, cemeteries. There's a whole bunch of things that they do. And, you know, you've got to actually know the players, and you got to know how, you know, who, and that's part of being a supervisor. You've got to know who can do what, and I'm sure that they all tried. But that's gets back to what we always say about government. Government is the, you know, it's the birthplace of incompetence. The Peter Principle was born in government, that when you can't do a job, you normally get promoted until you reach a level of incompetency. And that's what happens. I mean, we keep putting people in, and why? Do you think that the personnel director in a private industry company would still be working as the personnel director or the human resources director or whatever euphemism you want to call them in today's society? You think they'd still be working for that company if they went through 5 department heads in less than a year and a half? I don't think so. But again, it's only our money they're wasting. Yeah, give this guy a $90,000 a year job, then demote him to $85,000. Give somebody else the $90,000 job. Now we got somebody sliding over from a totally unrelated department. Are we going to see the credentials? I doubt it.
Well,
maybe somebody will ask for the credentials.
What, you think I won't?
Hopefully somebody will. But then again, who's gonna bring up anything? I'm waiting with bated breath for tomorrow's city council meeting, because I want to see what happens with the. By the way, which I think I said on the show, and we predicted this, that the road would reappear right after the election.
And
I know
it
in
is.
a weekend flush you referred to it.
Yep.
But the fact is that, we said it right here. We can, go and look at one of our old shows. You will see me repeat what the mayor said. Whatever you want, the people don't want it, there will be no road. And I said that, but he didn't finish the sentence, which is until after the election. So we said that here. We didn't have a crystal ball, and of course we were taken to task by all the mayor's minions, saying that we were being negative. We're just being realistic. We've been around the political arena long enough to know that they're all full of crap, that they'll promise you anything before an election.
This isn't a game that's hard to play.
Yeah,
it's not a game that's hard to play.
You don't have to be Karnak the Magnificent to figure out some of these things that we figure out. We're not taking a lot of credit for this, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out
exactly
that most of the time that a politician's lips are moving, they're probably lying.
Exactly.
Especially before an election.
Right. Hey, another capital gain for the city in its maintenance of buildings. A fire station was indeed closed today, the Stanley Street station, and guess why? Mold.
The infamous infestation of mold.
I mean, we have fire stations that you have asbestos falling out of the ceiling, and firefighters have to sleep on their stomachs so they don't inhale the stuff.
Well, I worked at that station for a while, and we had bats in the station. We actually had them named. We had like pet bats that used to fly around on the apparatus floor in the evening. And they stayed there until they found another home. So, that's one of the oldest fire stations in the city. And they still have where they kept the hay for the horse-drawn apparatus. And, the building itself, amazingly enough, is probably in better shape. But again, another example of our inability to maintain any kind of buildings and do anything preemptively, like maybe check to see if you've got like mold anywhere, and
leaks, anything.
I'm sure this problem has been there for a little while. Mold doesn't appear instantaneously. You get to the degree where you got to basically move everybody out of the building. But again, so what are we going to do with this? We're going to spend the taxpayers' money for cleanup or do something, or replace the building, or blow up the building, or do something. But again, who cares? Who cares that we've been paying all these years to maintain buildings? That the DCM by ordinance is actually commissioned on the ordinance to maintain all the buildings in the city, even though they don't. And the school department has another complete organization. They have a man in charge of building and grounds and an entire, department over there to deal with buildings and grounds.
And they don't maintain their buildings.
But they don't maintain their buildings either. So
just look at Durfee.
There's your taxpayer money at work again.
And they're going to ask you for another what?
And remember, all you residential taxpayers, about buildings. I want to see if, like I said, I'm waiting for bated breath with tomorrow's council meeting, because I want to see if one of the councilors, any councilor, one of the two that didn't show up, for what they had good reason. Or one went on vacation, and you got to get a vacation once in a while. And it was after an election, and okay. And then the other guy was, he had a procedure, and some of these people are saying, that you should make basically make your life revolve around the city council. Most of these people, and the two people who were out, have full-time jobs. So you think that if they're going to squeeze a vacation in, if they have to work around their full-time job, and now you want them to work around, they try to get it in the most, after an election you feel it wasn't too bad. So I want to know if one of them one of those two, or one of the four who don't care about the taxpayer, or one of the three who didn't prevail in their no vote, stands up and asks for a point of order and asks someone who voted on a prevailing side to make a motion to reconsider about shifting the tax burden to the people of Fall River. And as I stated on one of our previous shows, you know, our financial team and our assessors, they flat out misrepresented fact. Again, they were trying to contend that 75% of the units in Fall River are owner-occupied. That's not true. The Bureau of Census, again, it went down from 37% to 34.9%. And that's a more accurate figure because if you look at the little information icon there and click on it, it'll explain what it means. And it means they take into consideration every single unit that is occupied and is a separate living space. So that's a more accurate reflection of owners to renters. Because if you don't own it and you live in it, you don't own it, obviously. Not that difficult to figure out. So, and that includes house trailers, condominiums, multiple families, single families, two families, everything. And believe me, I trust the United States Census Bureau statistic far, far more than I do our crack teams that we have in Fall River here. And every time they talked about it, they kind of fudged it. Well, well, 75, maybe it's, I don't, well, you know, well, crap. It's baloney. It's baloney. And as I said on the show, out of that 35%, I'd say at least 15 conservatively are people on fixed incomes. And you people, city council, shifted the burden to people who are going to get a tremendously increased water bill, have already been taxed to 2.5%. And then you're going to look for a debt exclusion of almost $300 million for a school, all on dumping it on the people. Oh, well, you know, it means $300 for the business. It means 30, you know, it means, well, no, these people don't have the money. And secondly, this is a capitalistic society. I hate to tell you this. We're not supposed to subsidize businesses. This is not socialism. As much as you made Fall River a socialist state, because we have to subsidize. Well, guess what? When you open up a business, you got to look at the taxes, you got to look at your rent, you got to look at your mortgage, you got to look at your employee costs, you got to look at the people, your equipment. That's all part of business. And if you can't make it, that's the way it goes. That's what capitalism is supposed to be.
But you can make it here.
Huh?
You can make it here.
You can make it here, that's right, because we'll give you everything for free and put it on the taxpayer. But I want to see if one of them has the courage, because obviously our mayor, again, misled the people as he did with the rail trail road. He said that I want a 172 factor. Did he veto their action and make the full council vote on that veto so we can see where everybody stands? No, which to me leads me to believe he took the easy way out, because again, he'll turn around, and justifiably so, he's going to blame the city council.
Exactly.
Well, I asked for 7-2. They're the ones who put 7-0.
That's right.
Well, why didn't you veto it? If you were that adamant about protecting the taxpayers, why didn't you step up? I believe you didn't step up because you truly didn't care, because you didn't veto it. I don't see a veto on the agenda.
That's right. I see one for the rail trail.
Yeah, see one for the rail trail, exactly. Your agenda is clear with this agenda.
That's right.
So this agenda makes your agenda clear. But I'm going to tell you, I want to see somebody step up tomorrow night and have the courage to say, I don't care if these 4 people vote exactly the same way. One of those 4 people should have the courage, because a motion to reconsider has to come from the prevailing side. Let's let all the councilors weigh in, because you just raised my taxes. You made me pay for businesses taxes, again, without a TIF. Even if the businesses that don't have TIFs have a mini TIF now because of you. with your thing.
That's it.
So you made me pay with less than half the city council. 4 people voted a tax increase for you out there. Not even a majority. Let's let all 9 councilors revote. Let somebody stand up and have the courage to say, let's let the other 2 people vote and see where everybody stands on this tax increase to the people who can't afford it, because I want to know what those other 2 people would vote too, because I think that they have a right and we have a right to see what they would do. Would that thing have prevailed if all 9 councils were there? And if it did, I want to see who voted for a tax increase for me, and then call themselves capitalists. You know, Mr. Million should remember when he's up there whining about all the time about reducing their expenses with taxes. Taxes are part of doing business. And guess what? This is not a socialist government. At least it's not supposed to be. But obviously it is. All we got to do is look and smell the roses. Take a deep inhalation. You might pass out, but you'll come back. You'll come back.
You're probably going to smell more manure.
You'll regain consciousness. But just remember back even on the federal level, who did they bail out? The banks.
Yep.
Not the mortgage holders, the banks. Screw the people. Screw the taxpayer. Nobody gives a damn about you. The only thing they worry about is if you pay your taxes so they can spend more of your money. So if you think I'm off, I had enough, I recharged my batteries very well over the holidays.
Screw you, taxpayer!
That's right. So let's see tomorrow night. I can't wait. I can't wait for Wednesday's show.
It's definitely going to be interesting, I'll tell you now. But while we're on the agenda for tomorrow.
The agenda?
At 5:45, there's a public hearing to get rid of a part of Duval Street. But here's the thing, and that petition to get rid of that portion of Duval Street was filed by the Karams and the Feidelbergs. That's the 10 signatures that are on the petition. The problem is the petition was filed on November 13th, which was when?
Oh,
it was 6 days after the new charter became effective.
And the same rules do not apply.
Exactly. You have to have 250 signatures, with 10 signatures being on an affidavit that's presented with it, and that just starts the process. After you get that, you present it to the city clerk to go to the city attorney. If the city attorney agrees with it, he sends it back to the city clerk, who issues the petitions for 10% of the voters as of the last election that they must sign it. And then the city council can act, or it can go to a ballot.
Again.
So again, the charter comes in and slam!
Again, making it virtually impossible for the average citizen to exercise their right to affect government. We went from 10 signatures to this process, which, by the way, I think also includes signatures from each ward.
Yep, 25 from each ward.
Wherever they came up, they tried to get, they talked about ward councils, they threw it out, yet they kept this in. Think about what this means, people. We talked about how obstructive this charter is. Theoretically, if you didn't like something, one ward could stop it. Even if you got 75,000 signatures on a petition out of 88,000 people in a city, if you didn't get 25 from one particular ward, that 25
stops the process.
Stops the process. Done. Finished. So a particular ward who has something that they don't like about this can stop it. Boy, is that democracy in action. 25 people can stop 88,000 people from doing what they want. That is democracy. Kudos, Mike Mayoza and your crew. Great, great charter. I have never seen such a disgrace in my life, an attack on the freedom, and it's a direct contradiction of the Constitution of this state.
It's
and I
not
hope
even
I
3
hit
weeks
someday,
old.
because I guarantee you, and you can call me on this, I guarantee you, if I ever hit Powerball, I am going to hire a lawyer and take this charter to the Supreme Court of Massachusetts to contest its validity, because there are so many things that infringe on the Section 5 of part of the first that says that they're always answerable to the people. They have made it virtually impossible for the people to speak, and not only the poor people, even the rich people.
That's right.
So the Karams and the Feidelbergs can't even get something through now without jumping through hoops, and they may not be able to get this because who knows? Look at the process now from 10 signatures, and look, the Karams and the Feidelbergs have done a lot in this community. As a matter of fact, Bob Karam actually, his first job was actually as an insurance salesman for Joe Feidelberg and the Feidelberg Company. So that alliance goes back a long way, and they've been very influential in this community, and they have done a lot of positive things in the community. But look at this. Even our rich guys can't get something through now, because guess what? And I know you took a lot of flack for mentioning this, but just remember one thing. All CJ was saying was we all have to play by the same rules.
That's it.
So just because they did it doesn't mean, so let's show, again, now this charter isn't, what, a month old? It's not even a month old.
3 weeks.
And we've already got all kinds of issues that this charter has created because it's a piece of trash.
Trash is actually cleaner. 3
And
weeks.
what I
we're
like
already at
is
this
it
point.
makes guys like Joe Macy the final arbiter. How many sections of that contract says the Corporation Counsel can just banish it? I don't like it.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. And by the way, I'm a political appointee, so I won't have any bias. No.
The thing about it is that I'm waiting for another opinion from Joe Macy now to undo his first opinion, because his first opinion says the charter was in effect everything except for section 4-3. Now he's going to say everything except 4-3 and 8.2.
That's right. Or anything else that affects somebody that's politically okay.
connected.
That's right, politically protected. Yep.
And I'm telling you, this is getting to be ridiculous. This hearing, if they hold it, may be illegal. May be illegal. So of course I sent an email out to all the city councilors, including Sean Cadine, which I was asked not to send any emails to him any further. But I sent it out to him anyhow because I think as the council president, he needs to know he may not be able to go forward with this. They only had 10 signatures on that petition. And because they called it a petition, they called it right on the form a petition. That goes under section 8-2. So it's 250 signatures at first.
Yeah.
With an affidavit with 10 signatures, with 25 coming from each ward. And all of these came from wards 8 and 9, so I think that they left out a few there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we see that, you're right, and, we'll probably get an opinion in favor of them.
Of course.
But that's only an opinion. But let's look at it realistically. Is this legal? They're acting on something that technically was the process to present this was not adhered to. The city charter was not adhered to.
But do you know who's in charge? You know who's responsible for enforcing the charter? The mayor.
The mayor.
So,
but actually, they're all commissioned as city officials to live by the charter. It's like saying that when you go in the military, or you get some kind of job, you normally swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state constitution and abide by the city ordinances and the charter or any other legally binding thing that you have to run the government by. So theoretically, they're all. The mayor obviously is the CEO of this whole mess. So, but like you said, it doesn't. Everybody has to play by the rules, and there's a new sheriff in town called the new charter.
That's
so,
it. And let me tell you
tune
something.
in Wednesday. I think after tomorrow night's meeting, we'll watch the meeting. I think it's going to be a 3-ring circus.
As usual, it will be the city council meeting. Have a great day, everyone, and we will be here on Wednesday. Have a good one.